Welcome to the Truth Temple podcast, the number one podcast here in Liverpool. We're joined by Britt. So Britt, just give us a bit of an overview of who you are, where you're from.
Me, yes.
And what you're about.
Will do. I'm Britt. A lot of people call me Brittany, so don't call me Brittany. We actually had that palaver this morning from Starbucks. It's Brittany, but if you can't say that, it's Britt. Who am I? So I'm from Sheffield originally. Went to uni in Salford, and I've lived in Manchester for the last 9 years. Never really been into sports. Always kind of brought up on like dance and stuff. My friend over there is also a dancer as well. We just did dance at like uni and stuff. We weren't professional, but we enjoyed it. So that was probably the only kind of sporty stuff I did. And then, in the last couple of years, I said, right, this is it. I'm going to get into it. I just, as a female, was always complaining how I looked and didn't like it and, you know, all that kind of palaver. But I was never doing anything about it. So I was like, well, right, I need to sort myself out. So yeah, two years on, and now I'm like addicted to fitness, which I never in a million years thought I'd say that. So that's me.
Yeah, I think it's like strange because I've had it loads where like I've had a few girls who I went to high school with, or girls who I knew like back in the day.
Yeah.
And I specifically have like a few examples where like, you know, these girls would like forget the PE kit and all that bullshit.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
Like, they'd hate sport. And now like literally like a few of them are like PTs in Dubai, and they've got into fitness. One of them's got into high rocks, like at a high level. So like, why is it that you like, what changed? Like, was it just an aesthetic point of view, or was it a lifestyle point of view, or a health point of view?
I think it was like a mixture, to be honest. But like you're saying then, like with other girls, I think the thing is with girls, I think I try to say that I'm not very mainstream. I try and say I'm different. But I think an element with girls is that things become fashionable. And I think that's kind of, especially with like high rocks and stuff, it's like everyone's jumping on the bandwagon. But then I think people realize like how well you feel from it, and then again you become like addicted to it. But for me, what changed, I think it was aesthetic, to be honest. You know, luckily I've never really, you know, I won't go into it too deep, but had any problems with like eating. I've always been a foodie and things like that. But growing up, you know, as a teenager, like I developed quite quickly, and all my friends were still skinny little girls, and I was a bit more womanly, if you will. But obviously, you know, as you're going through puberty, when you look different, it's like, oh, I feel fat, or, you know, and I was quite, you know, harsh on myself. And looking back now, I wasn't fat, I was tiny, but in comparison to my other friends. So yeah, I was always kind of, I'd be quite mean to myself and call myself big and whatnot. And I wasn't, but in comparison to my friends, it felt that way. So like the last 2 years, well, it was like 2 years ago, I was going on a works holiday actually. And I've been on works holidays before and not felt horrendous or anything. But I was like, right, this is the year I'm going to, you know, get fit, and I'm going to, you know, turn my life around. For some reason, you know, I was oblivious. I thought in 2 months I could change my whole physique. I now know 2 years in that, you know, fitness doesn't change overnight. But now, yes, okay, I'm still slightly doing it for aesthetic, but it's really not my focus point anymore. I'm doing it because I really enjoy it. You know, I've got friends into it. I'm seeing more friends because of it. And also, you know, that lifestyle of, you know, going out and drinking, I'm over that now. You know, not quite 30, but I'm nearing that end, and, you know, it makes you feel rubbish, and the euphoria you feel after exercising is tenfold than going out for a few drinks and then feeling rubbish the next day. So, it's now become a lifestyle. But I think, originally it was probably aesthetic, and now I'm just like, I just really, really enjoy it. So, yeah.
So I guess going from one extreme to the other, what are some of the misconceptions that you've seen that a lot of women have around like the fitness side of things, or the exercise side of things?
Good question. I think like I said, how oblivious I was that, you know, you think you can change the way you look overnight. And not only that, you're looking at other people on Instagram thinking, I can become like that. And you do have to remember your genetics. So I won't get too personal about myself, but like for me, I'm curvy. I've always been bigger on the bottom than I am the top. Am I going to have skinny little legs? No. I thought that could potentially be possible for me, but no, it won't be. So for me, it's like, okay, let's work with my genetics. And if that means, okay, I'm not going to have skinny legs, but let's have muscly legs, let's have toned legs, and just work with it and be a bit more positive in that aspect. So I think a lot of women do think that, you know, they can just change their whole physique. So if I've got any advice for any women out there, you know, just, you know, be appreciative of, you know, your genetics, you know, how you look already, and let's just, you know, polish it. Let's just make it look a little bit nicer, a little bit better, a little bit healthier. You know, and some women might be, you know, stronger up top, and if that's the case, you know, go with, you know, how your body is and just perfect it, but don't try and, you know, be somebody else. So yeah, I think a lot of women think that, you know, you can just you know, change overnight. And change your whole appearance. I think another thing is, I've heard a lot of girls actually say about like doing upper strength and stuff. I'm absolutely obsessed with upper. This year, I'm really determined to do a pull-up unassisted, which probably for you, you're thinking, oh, that's easy. Literally, my boyfriend doesn't exercise. He used to be a big gym goer actually, but he was like, right, come on then. And I'm like, I haven't got my bands to do an assisted pull-up. He's like, well, just do it. And I was like, I don't think you're understanding me. I can't do an unassisted. Anyway, he just like whacks 3 out. He's a bit of a stoner. You know, he doesn't eat great. And I'm just like, how can he whack 3 out? And I'm there struggling to do 1. So I'm obsessed with doing upper. But a lot of women and a lot of girls think, oh, well, I can't do upper because I'm going to look manly. To be honest, I kind of want to get a really muscly back. I kind of want to look quite hench up top. That's just personally for me. But it won't make you look manly. And if anything, you know, if there is a certain look, I know, again, we don't all want to look the same, but a lot of girls are aspiring for this like sort of hourglass look. If you do want that look, then you do need to do upper because, you know, it's that kind of ratio. So if you're looking bigger up top, it's going to make your waist look smaller, and then you've got that hourglass shape. So, you know, girls, don't be afraid of doing upper. I absolutely love it. It's better than legs anyway, because I'm in absolute agony today after Friday's session. Yeah. So, yeah, I feel like that's a few misconceptions.
Yeah, I do agree. I definitely agree on that. Like, I've had a lot of girls come to me and like talk about fitness and exercise, and they say like, oh, like what do I need to do to X, Y, Z? And then you say like, oh, you know, it's some whether you're doing like powerlifting or even like just endurance events, weightlifting is a necessity to any sort of resistance exercise. And then like, yeah, but I don't want to be bulky. It's like, trust me, I've been training since I was 16 years old. You will not be bulky. From like, it's harder than you think to like put muscle on. Well, it's not necessarily like really hard. But it's not a case of, oh, I'll go to the gym for a few weeks and I'll be fucking
massive.
I'll be like this hench person. So like people who are going on this sort of fitness journey. So like obviously a lot of people like have this sort of epiphany where they're like, you know, it's usually around our age because I'm similar age to you, where it's like, oh fucking hell, like, you know, you sort of like, it's a bit harder to have a drink nowadays and etc. And they go on this fitness journey of like, well, I'm going to go from the starting point to the end point. You know, this is what I want. But where do people tend to go wrong on that journey?
Good question. I think we were sort of talking about it earlier. It's consistency. I think people get really excited. They think, you know, something's going to happen overnight, like I say, and they just go, you know, really kind of all for it and hardcore initially, and then they kind of fall off it. So for me, it has been consistent, but like, now I don't find it hard to be consistent because it's become my lifestyle now. Like every weekend it's like, oh, I'm going for a run, and it's not like, oh, I've got to go for a run. It's like that's part of what I do in a weekend. You know, some people might be that part of their weekend is going out. Well, for me, it's going for a run. It's going to the gym. It's, you know,
it's habitual.
It's keeping active. But I think what has helped for me, and I keep saying this to loads of people because they're like, oh, how are you so amazing at this? Like, how are you, you know, so motivated and things like that? And I said, look, it's took me 20 odd years to get to this point, but you know, it's a mindset thing. So, you know, if you feel like the gym's a chore or you can't be bothered to go, you're not going to go. And for me, it doesn't feel like that anymore. It feels like I just want to go and do it, or it's like you say, habitual. It's just the norm for me now. So I think with some people, they probably put in too much pressure on themselves too soon. And I think as well, not comparing yourself to other people. So I actually, as you know, went to this High Rocks seminar with the Manchester High Rocks community on the 1st of March, beginning of this month. I ended up going on my own, and I was so nervous because all in my head I was thinking, I'm going to be rubbish. And a lot of these people have already done High Rocksers. And even if they hadn't done an actual High Rocks, they'd done High Rocks classes, and I'd done nothing. I don't know why I thought it'd be a good idea, but I'd done nothing. So straight away, naturally, as a human, I'm thinking, oh, I'm going to be rubbish. Everyone's going to judge me, blah, blah, blah. One thing that helped me and got me through that day was because all the people were amazing and supportive. And you definitely find that in the fitness world. Like, I actually thought when I started doing this that it wouldn't be like that, but everyone is so supportive. But also, like, they don't look at you. They're busy trying to do their burpees. Yeah. They're not going to look at me struggling doing my burpees. But also, you know, they've all been at the beginning once upon a time. So I think the reason people fall off on their journeys, you know, they do compare themselves to people. So, for instance, on that day, we had to do this run-in, and I was literally the slowest person there, or one of the slowest. And there were these guys that were like lapping me. They must have done 4 laps to my 1. But I just thought, do you know what? I'm going to cut it out. Then they're actually not judging me. I'm going to go at my speed, you know, so that I don't hurt myself. And let's just go with that. And that helped me enjoy the day so much more. So for anyone that is kind of struggling with it, cut everyone else out, focus on you, and then you'll be able to progress a lot better.
It is quite a funny thing, because I've had that conversation so many times of, like, you know, why you stop, like, why do you struggle to go to the gym, or like, why are you struggling to do X, Y, or Z? And people always say, like, oh, it's because I'm like nervous, and I'm afraid of judgment from other people. And I'm like, I've been in the gym for a long time, and I've talked to a lot of people, and the last thing that I think of is, oh, let me look around this gym and look who I can insult, or like, what are they, like, unless you're doing something absolutely outrageous in the gym, like swinging upside down on something,
or it's going to hurt you.
Yeah, you're not going to think anything like,
no, of course
you know, whether there's an overweight person there, whether there's a skinny person there, whether there's an old person there. If anything, I have far more respect for that person there than seeing them on the street with a McDonald's in their hand or whatever. It's like, no one cares. Like that's what I learned, like, early on. I remember, like, when I first went into the gym, like, I was like the opposite of you. Yeah. I was quite late to puberty and whatnot. So I remember going into the gym when I was like 15, and we were doing bench press, and I could only bench press like 50 kilograms, like, maximally.
Only? That's pretty impressive.
Well, yeah, as a growing man. But I had a mate who could do literally 100 kilograms. Like, he was a rugby player. He was 6'4" in year 8. And I was just thinking, and I remember that was the first time I remember thinking, fucking hell.
Yeah.
And then he gave me like a big boost of, like, he said, well, yeah, but you can do like loads of other things I can't. Like, don't worry about this. And then like, obviously as the years come on, you up the weight, you grow. And
exactly.
Whatnot.
And you change, don't you? So.
But there's that classic saying, is it like comparison's like the thief of joy. The more you compare yourself, the more you just take away from your own goal.
Exactly.
But you mentioned, like, sort of the consistency, and then you mentioned that, you know, like, obviously why, like, some sort of ways that people lack that consistency. But what are some of the key things that sort of draw people away from that consistency, along with comparison? Thank you very much for watching, and thank you for your support so far. However, YouTube is telling us that over 72% of you are yet unsubscribed to the channel. So if you can do us a massive favour and hit that subscribe button, it'll help this channel out massively and help us create content more in the future.
I think a lot of it is probably other parts of your lifestyle and, you know, kind of your diet and things like that. So, you know, not everyone's like me in the sense that, like, I don't go out anymore, you know, and if you still go out but you still do the gym, that is so fine. But obviously I think that probably would make it hard for someone, because if you know, Monday to Friday, you're in the gym, you're getting everything done, you're eating right, and then it comes to the weekend, and then obviously, you know, you go out, you're a bit hungover on the Sunday, you start eating crap or whatever, and then your motivation's, you know, not the same because of you feeling lethargic, etc. That's then gonna, you know, make you struggle for that next week ahead. So, you know, if that then becomes more of a pattern of going out, I'm not saying that everyone should stop going out or anything, but I can imagine, you know, like I say, that's not me anymore, but I can imagine that's quite difficult. And I think, you know, from when I did used to go out a lot, you know, my fitness levels weren't there because the motivation wasn't there. So again, the consistency wasn't there. So I think that's probably what a lot of people struggle with. And then, the diet side of things, again, when I started, I did try to track my calories and stuff. And they do say that obviously if you do want to see a lot of difference, especially if you're trying to maybe lose a little bit of weight, but also gain muscle, you do need to be in some form of a deficit and things like that. But for me, it wasn't triggering in the sense that, you know, like I say, I haven't had any issues in the past, but it just became like a bit obsessive. And then it was like the chore of then having to put your calories into the tracker and things like that. So I don't actually track my calories. I try and eat what I should be eating in the week. I always think, like, in the week, you know, just be, you know, clean and eat the right stuff. You know, your meal prep at work doesn't need to be fancy. It just needs to fill a hole. It needs to have, the right protein in it, right nutrients, etc. And then at the weekend, I'm still not, getting loads of takeaways because again, I'm not going out. So I don't, you're not craving it as much. But at the same time, I still eat what I want. If I want chocolate, if I want to, go have a nice pastry or, whatever, I will just eat it. So I think certainly with girls, I'm sure there's some guys out there as well, but I'm just speaking, from kind of my experience is that, it's probably the diet side of things that kind of affects their consistency, especially for girls like me who, yes, I am trying to lose a bit of weight, but I'm also trying to, gain muscle. It's like getting that protein. You don't realize, do you, like how hard it is to get that protein in, especially if you're on a deficit as well, because it's like, well, I need to eat more protein, which is more food, but then I've also got to keep my calories down, so it's like it's really difficult. So I feel that's probably an issue for a lot of people.
I think one place where I see a lot of people go wrong is like they almost, like you saying, like they're too strict with it. Like they go from like never doing it to then doing everything, and trying to maintain that is a really difficult thing. But one thing I did see a lot was like when they started to hit those mini failures, or say if they did come to a rest day or whatever, they just go to the opposite extreme and think, well, I've missed this, or like I've not done it right, so fuck it, I'll just have a pizza and I'll do this and I'll sit on my ass all day. And then it's like one extreme to the other. And then once they get that sort of dopamine hit from all that bad behavior, it's like then go back to a Monday morning and go strict again, it's like too extreme.
Exactly.
So the first thing I'd say to anyone is like, obviously have your cheat days, have you, like you said, have your pastries and all that sort of stuff, but then like curtail it and like have it as like a reward sort of thing, and not like a fallback plan of like that's what I'm going to fall back on.
Yeah, because then it'll be an uphill battle for sure.
So like for someone who's like obviously just starting out on a fitness journey, what are the first few things that they need to do in order to maintain like the longevity of that fitness journey?
I think what I did, which has been an absolute blessing, is get a PT. My PT has now become one of my best friends. She, it's accountability. A lot of people now say like, oh, why do you still train with her? Like, you know what you're doing, you've got your confidence, etc. But again, it's still accountability for me. Even at my point, and I'm not saying that I'm like a super athlete or anything, but, I know that even if there's a few days of the week that I think, oh, I don't really feel like it, 5:45 on a Wednesday morning, which is when I go see her, I don't bail on her because I'm booked in. It's that early and I'm getting up and I'm going. So I think, obviously I appreciate not everyone can afford a PT, but even if it's like a friend, have once a week where you always go to the gym with this particular friend, there's still a bit of accountability there. You've got accountability for each other. That's what definitely helped me. And also it is that confidence thing, because I think a lot of the time when I was going to the gym prior to having a PT, the reason I wasn't kind of branching out, I mean, gosh, I was paying ridiculous amount a month. I think it was like 50 odd quid a month. And I was using the women's only part of this gym. Now it has been done out and apparently it's amazing.
Women's only part?
Women's only part, yeah. Because the main part was like, it was like really like vast. There was all like these, like to me at the time, big guys, lifting all these crazy weights. And I was like, oh God, like this is horrible. So I'd like shuffle into this and it wasn't a big room at all. I'm thinking, I'm paying 50 odd quid a month for this. And it's literally got the odd treadmill, the odd machine. It didn't really have everything I even needed. But the reason I was hiding away in there was because I didn't have the confidence. I didn't actually know what I was doing. I didn't understand a lot of the weighted exercises. So when I did meet Chloe, my PT, now best friend, she gave me that confidence. She taught me and she, said, this is what this does. And, this machine can do this and it will help with this muscle or, really going into depth with it all. So I think if you are starting out, and you can afford a PT, 100% do it. If not, just get a friend that can support you and just make sure you've got that accountability, because that'll push you to move on and progress further, definitely.
What are some of like the beginners exercises that help you sort of integrate into the...
Do you know what?
The exercise world.
To be fair, I just went straight into a lot of them, and I still do a lot of them now. It's just obviously you might start out with like, I don't know, body weight. So I don't know if you're doing, legs and you're doing, I don't know, a barbell back squat. You might just have the barbell with no weights on it, or you might do, which I absolutely hate, but Chloe makes me still do, Bulgarian split squats. If anyone's ever done them, you know how awful they are. But starting out on body weight, and actually, funnily enough, more recently, I've been doing them just body weight just to kind of control my form. Because a lot of that is to do with like your flexibility. So we always make sure that we're stretching properly in between, and I am getting better at that. But yeah, a lot of the exercises are the exercises that I still do now. So it's just starting out lighter. And then obviously, having that progressive overload, over time you'll get, heavier weights or more reps depending on, which way you're looking at it. But to be honest, a lot of the exercises, I wouldn't say are necessarily a beginner. You just took through it, told exactly how to do it. You focus on your form more, you focus on the body weight, and then obviously from there you go up on, the weight level. So yeah.
If you could only have like 5 exercises that you could do for the rest of your life, you couldn't do any other than these 5.
Yeah.
What would the 5 be?
Oh, that's a good question. First one's pull-ups, but I'd want to be good at them. I don't know what it is. When I started doing pull-ups, I just felt like, because when I was younger, I could never do monkey bars or anything like that. And I'd see other kids doing it, or like, even like, if you'd go walk past a playground and my boyfriend would just go, like I said, just whack out a few pull-ups, and I'd be thinking, why can't I do that? So when I started doing it, I was like, I felt on top of the world, because I was like, am I actually getting somewhere here? Obviously they're assisted. So yeah, it'd be pull-ups, assisted or unassisted. We'll see how we go. 5. Okay, this is hard. What else do I like? I do actually like squats, like barbell back squats. Obviously not too heavy, unless, again, I was good at them. So that a bit. So pull-ups, squats, barbell back squat. What else do I like? Well, we'd avoid Bulgarian split squats, so we're not doing them.
They'll go in the next list. I'm going to...
Okay, they're at the top of the next list. What else? Let me try and think. I feel like I'm going blank now, like what exercises do I do?
You've got pull-ups for like your back, biceps.
Back,
yeah. So you need something for your back, really.
Yeah, I do like back. I do like lat pull down.
Yeah.
I really like that because over time you can really see the definition on your back. So yeah, probably have to be that. What else? I like chest press, actually.
Okay.
I feel like, especially, a lot of gyms, they're very male dominated, but now I've got the confidence. I'm just like walking around. I'm like, most of the time, the only girl there, or like there's maybe a couple, which, I don't know, a year ago, even when I'd still started, I'd have been really scared to do. But now I'm like, yeah, I'm hench. And then when I get on the chest press, I'm like, I just feel, I don't know why I want to feel manly. That sounds a bit concerning, doesn't it? But I just feel like so powerful when I do it. And I think, when you do see like people doing chest press, you do typically think, oh, it's a man's exercise, don't you? So when I do it, I do feel quite powerful, especially, not that I'm ever judging anyone in the gym, I promise, but like, if there is another guy next to me and I'm actually lifting more than him, I'm like, yeah. I've gone up in the world.
That's that toxic femininity.
Yeah, sorry. I'll wind that in a little bit.
So you've got pull-ups, squat,
yeah,
lat pull down,
yeah,
and then chest press.
Yeah,
what's the last
one more. I suppose it's kind of similar, but maybe shoulder dumbbell press. Again, I went back to the gym with my boyfriend, and basically I think I was doing 8 kgs at the time, and then I was like, oh, do you know what, I'm going to go up to 10s, and he was doing 10s, and then he was like, yeah, I'll carry on the 10s, and then he was struggling a bit and he had to lower it, but then I stayed on the 10s, so that made me feel really good.
You stronger than your boyfriend.
I hope he doesn't mind me saying this. I won't mention his name.
He will.
He's gonna kill me later.
What are the? We'll do 3, but what are the 3 exercises that you would give up if you could?
Bulgarian split squats. Although, like I said, because I'm doing body weight at the moment, I am enjoying it more because, like I say, we're focusing on the stretching, which means like my quads and stuff don't feel as tight as when I'm lowering. So I'm actually getting better at them. But when it's with a weight, it's actually quite hard. Yeah. So yeah, probably them. They'd be up there. What else don't I really like? Lat raises. I don't hate them, but you think you can do heavy, and it's hard to do, isn't it? Yeah. I only do 4 kgs, and I swear the other day I went on Instagram, can't remember which girl it was that I was watching, and she was doing 14 kilogram lat raises, and I was like, wow, that's impressive. But I do kind of like them. I feel like I'm going like back and forth on this one because you can really like feel your lats on your back working when you're doing them. But like when you do like a drop set, so you might do, I don't know, 4 or 5 kgs initially, and then you drop it to like, well, this is for me. Obviously, you'd probably do more, but like 2 or 3s to drop set, like lifting your arms up, you're like, you can literally see your arms shaking. So yeah, they can be quite hard. What else? It's hard when you actually really enjoy the gym, doesn't it?
Have you ever tried skull crushers?
What are they? I don't even think I know what they are.
For your triceps, where you sort of like let the bar fall towards your face and then push up.
No, I've never done that.
Try them.
Oh God, maybe that might be on the list. What are they called? Skull crushers.
Skull crushers. Yeah.
Oh, skull crushers.
Yeah, skull crushers. So you lie on a flat bench.
Yeah.
And then you literally just arm extended out, and then you let that bar.
Oh, I think I might have seen that before. Is that really hard?
They are the worst. Like on the triceps, they're the worst ones.
Oh, yeah, that doesn't sound
Bulgarian split squats for the triceps.
Right. Okay, fair enough. Maybe they might be in the list then.
100%. So you mentioned social media before. So
yes,
when obviously you have influencers and then these PTs talking on social media, or they have these sort of programs out there.
Yeah.
How can that sometimes like affect the way that people look at that? Like, so when you were starting out on that journey, like how did you sort of feel when you looked at that sort of stuff? Did you see some of it in a negative light, or was it sometimes in a positive light?
Yeah, good question. To be honest, all of it's been really positive. I mean, there's so many girls now that are doing fitness pages, and to be honest, I felt like I was a bit late to the party because like there's so many amazing girls out there that are absolutely smashing it, and it was all positive to me, to be honest. I don't think there's anyone that I think like, oh, that's unrealistic, or, you know, there's a bit of like a toxic trait about her, or what she's kind of like trying to promote or anything. I think a lot of it has just been really, really positive. There's such a community on there. There's a lot of girls that are like, we're all in like a group chat, we're actually going to meet up together, and it's like crazy that I've like got all these online friends, but it's so nice because we're all like on the same page, we're all, you know, have those similar goals and things. So yeah, for me starting out, it was just, if anything, when I was following more and more of these girls, it was just making me want to do more and more. And then you see these girls, you know, doing different things, you know, but probably a lot of them inspired me to do like the pull-ups and stuff. You see, there's one particular girl, she's like doing weighted pull-ups, and I'm just like, that is amazing. Like, it's just so inspiring. So personally for me, I don't know whether it's just because I'm quite a positive person all around, but I've always seen it in a positive light. And I think when I started mine, I was a bit like apprehensive because I was like, oh, are people going to judge me? Are people going to say stuff? Am I going to do the wrong thing? I think the positive thing out of that is because I had the support of Chloe, my PT, you know, she wouldn't let me post anything that, because you have to be careful, you know, I don't want to post something that's actually an incorrect, you know, exercise. Someone might go and hurt themselves and then it's on me, you know. She would always say like, you know, don't post this or do post this. And because she was training me, 9 times out of 10, I was doing things correctly because she wouldn't obviously allow me to do it incorrectly. So I was sort of worried about that in the beginning, but everyone that's kind of supported me, whether it's been friends or, you know, new girls following me and stuff, it's all been positive, and we're just inspiring each other. So I think it's a brilliant platform, and I think that's part of the reason why I've been consistent, because you're like, oh, what's so-and-so doing today? Right, they've gone on for a run, why don't I do that? And you're literally just bouncing off of each other, which is really nice.
It's interesting because I was talking to her like kind of like someone like yourself, like a fitness influencer a few months back, and she was telling me like she really struggles with certain things because she has to put out certain content and whatnot. And she was saying she almost feels like an obligation to, you know, she's sponsored by different companies or, you know, people give her stuff. And obviously she's trying to make money, trying to make a living from it. So she feels like she's pushing stuff out that she just doesn't feel like she should be. And then she said, I said, like, what percentage of like other influence do you think this like affects? Do you think like this is like a common thing, or do you think it's just like a thing that you, and she's like, oh no, 100%. Like, she's like, most influencers I talk to feel the same. So it's like, obviously she was struggling with that like sort of authenticity, if you for a better phrase to put it. So how do you sort of navigate that? Like, how do you sort of make sure that everything you're doing feels authentic, or do you ever feel pressured to do?
No, that's a really good question, and I think a lot of us do feel like that. But with myself, I'm not trying to say I'm like majorly different or anything, but I will only post stuff that I do like. Don't get me wrong, in the beginning I was just saying yes to everything because it was, you know, it was exciting. I was getting all this stuff, but, you know, no disrespect, but you do get a lot of brands sending you stuff that isn't actually that good. So I've sort of started saying to brands, look, I'm happy for you to send it me, but just to be completely transparent, you know, if I don't like it, I won't be posting it, because that's not me. And I don't want to post something that, you know, I don't genuinely like. And I think a lot of people have said to me, you know, they really like my page and really resonate with it because they can tell that I'm being genuine. And I feel like I couldn't be false on there. Like, and the reason I'm enjoying it is because I'm being me. So I just really deter from just doing it for the sake of it. And if that does mean missing out on a bit of money or whatever. But I feel like 9 times out of 10, if it's not a not so good brand, they're probably not paying you anyway. So it's not the end of the world. But, you know, I've even spoken to some people that, yeah, like you say, are sponsored by some really big brands. And they've actually said, you know, don't bother with them. Between me and you, don't bother with them, because they're actually, just because they're this massive brand, they're like, they're not as good as, you know, it's made to be. And I don't want to be that person. And that's why a lot of what I do is, you know, I promote smaller brands, which I'm actually repping today, because I don't want to jump on the bandwagon with, you know, all these other brands, which I won't obviously name names, but
actually
I feel like they've gone into the background a bit. Well, maybe not too much, but there's certain other ones that girls are really jumping all over. And I'm just like, it looks like fantastic stuff, but at the same time, like, let's help the smaller businesses. Like, yes, okay, these bigger brands probably, you know, did start out, you know, struggling initially, but they're fine now. Let's just like help other brands, you know. I'm a small influencer. I hate calling myself an influencer, but you know what I mean. So let's just help each other, smaller brands, smaller communities, and, you know, hopefully together we'll all become, you know, bigger brands. So yeah,
like, because like sometimes, like, I see, like, I've seen loads of, I don't follow like a lot of girl influencers, but you see them all the time, don't you?
Yeah.
And I just think to myself, like, God, you don't, like, when I came across your page, like, when we talked about it off camera, one thing I did like you could tell it was quite authentic just by the way you were very raw. You could tell you'd not done this before. And I mean that in a good way, because we were the same when we started out. And then obviously you see as you go, and then you were posting things like, I've even seen like blooper reel and stuff like that. And I think like that's the real side of it, and like the funny was, and then you see the other side, and it's just like, oh, brand, oh, this is fantastic, and look at this, and stir.
It's just boring, isn't it?
Yeah, and I just think, like, you don't drink that shit every day. Like, there's just no, like, and then there's different stuff, but it's like, I like them ones where it's just raw. Yeah. And it feels like a normal person, not like you've got to rod up your ass. And you're having to perform.
And I think, you know, when there is so much competition of, you know, so many influencers out there, like, if I'm just going to do the same as everyone else, I'm only just starting out, I'm not going to grow, because they'll probably think, well, I'm already following X, Y, and Z who do exactly that. So for me, you know, I'm not doing anything out of the ordinary to stand out, but I'm being myself. I'm just being ordinary, you know? And I think that's probably what's helped me, because people are seeing the real me. And even my friends have said, like, you can tell it's you. Like, you're not, you know, and it'd feel weird if I started pretending to be someone and then my friends are like, Britt, what are you doing? It's embarrassing or whatever. So I think, like, don't get me wrong, I haven't got hundreds and hundreds of thousands of followers, but I think because I'm growing relatively quickly is because people are seeing the real me, and that's me, and that's what I'm all about. So I want to keep it that way.
Yeah, it's something me and Reese have discussed as well. Like we've had people reach out on certain opportunities here and there, and like, it's one of them, like, at the start we were more likely to say yes to things, not that we did, but we were like, it was a conversation. And like I said to Reese, I said from the get-go, I said, like, we'll only do stuff that we want to do, because I am the fucking, like, we tried doing promo videos, and I am the worst, like Reese will like testify to this, I'm the worst actor ever. Like, I can't unless it's like fully authentic and in the moment, like, even if it's just as simple as a line to read. So I couldn't imagine then doing that on top of doing something that, like, I don't want to do, like, or promote this, and it's like, oh, for fuck's sake, I have to read a line and then I have to pretend to be happy. Like,
because then that would be hard work.
Yeah, it would just be the hardest thing. Sort of shifting into, like, sort of the mental health side of things. So an interesting conversation I had with those girls I referenced before, like, you know, the girls who didn't do sport and then all of a sudden they did. A big reason for it was because, like, what they said was, like, over time they were just becoming, like, really, like, sort of depressed and in this sort of state where they were so inactive that they felt like they were just a zombie, and then that was the reason, along with aesthetic reasons, why they started this journey. So what sort of, so since you've had that similar journey, what has been, like, the effect on your mental health of making sure that physical activity is, like, one of the predominant forces in your life?
No, really good question. I mean, this is something that I sort of talk to about with a lot of my friends, actually, is that I've never really had, you know, severe mental health issues. I've had, you know, very close relatives go through absolute horrendous times, and I've had to support them. So I'm very much in the know, and I understand it, and I, have experienced it on that front. But when I got into fitness, I didn't actually realize how much it would lift my mental health, because I thought, well, I'm all right, But then that feeling of like euphoria and the endorphins, I think I actually did a bit of a quick story after I did that High Rocks class. And I was just really buzzing. And I was telling my boyfriend all about it. And I think he thought I was on drugs because I was like talking like this really, really fast. But it was just all the endorphins and that feeling, because you also know, the goodness it's done for you is amazing. And that's why I'm, don't get me wrong, I still will have a drink here and there, but that's why I don't really go out anymore, because, I go out and I drink a lot. And then the next day, I'd feel actually really anxious looking back on it. And that feeling is horrendous. And now, obviously, I don't get that because I don't go out, but then I get that, the endorphin feeling and the, that kind of lifting in your mood. So I know now that's another part, again, going back to consistency and making me want to do more, is like, I know that feeling and how amazing it is. And, you've had people tell you for years, haven't you? Certainly me, who's never really been athletic, make sure you do exercise. It's good for you. It's good for your mind. It's good. And you're going, yeah. And then until you do it, you're like, wow. Like me and my friend Jay, we do a lot of running, and we were saying, like, when we go running, like, it's such a, like, it really clears your mind. Even if you're not necessarily worried about anything or, stressed about anything, it just so clears your mind. And then on the flip side, if you are really stressed, it just helps you so much. So, for someone who, I'm a massive advocate for mental health, I'm actually supporting another smaller brand, Champion Mindset, who they're a lot of their profits, 5% of their profits go to various mental health charities. That was a brand that I was like, I have to support these because that resonates with me, with what I've gone through with, close relatives, etc. But in terms of my own mental health, like I say, I never thought, it was neat, like it was there or it was affected by anything until I did fitness. I was like, wow, I actually did need fitness in my life.
Yeah. It is always interesting when I talk to people, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but people who weren't as active as, say, me or people I've played sport with in my life.
Yeah.
Because I'm always like surrounded by people like my friends have always been heavily involved in sport, rugby players, football players. But when it's interesting when you talk to people like yourself who have sort of been on both sides of it and they've gone on this journey, like they say that, and I had this experience in COVID, and I realised it then, like I had this sort of epiphany where, because I've always played sport, I've never really had the high. You always, because you kind of just used to it. Like, from a child, you just play, and that's just, you're always on a high. So you never really see it. But I remember in COVID, I had like it was probably the worst state of my life. Like, for about 3 months, I just did basically fuck all. And then but I noticed like just the severe decline in just like you just feel like shit all the time. Like your eating goes, like you drink, like you're drinking a bit more and all that sort of stuff. But then I had that sort of epiphany that like a lot of people have on this thing of like when you like that sort of reuptake of exercise like daily and the like having that sort of rhythm in your life again. It was like all of a sudden it was like back again.
It's
and
crazy.
I have the same it's the same when you get injured. Like when you get injured, you can't do fuck all. Like I had an injury a few months ago, and I couldn't do anything for like a good week, and I was just like, this is shit.
Get me out of here.
That's what it was. So, like, but it is interesting, like talking to people of like it does become addictive, and it's like amazing. Even though it's like, oh, it's always been a part of my life, but that's because I'm addicted to it.
Exactly.
Like, when you think about it, whether it's like indirectly or directly, like you get addicted to that sort of
amazing
thing. And it's funny, like when people have this sort of like this, this is the goal I want to achieve, and then obviously they have to get into shape to do that goal. What you'll often find is that like once they've achieved the goal, they will never really go back. Like at least it depends on the phase of life you're in. But I've seen loads of people have that where they say like, close friends, I want to get into the shape or whatever. And it's either one extreme or the other. They either carry on with the rest of life and they get addicted and they go and do more things, or they go completely backwards. You never really get like a bit of half and half where, I still go to the gym occasionally.
Exactly.
It's literally like do or die.
Both extremes,
which I think is always very interesting. But like something that is prevalent on social media a lot of the times is like, when you're going on this fitness journey, obviously with social media, you see different people having different aesthetics and whatnot. And I got asked this question, it'd be interesting to get your take on it. Like, is fitness more important from an aesthetic point of view or a performance point of view, would you say? Thank you so much for watching this video so far. If you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like and comment. And also, if you can hit that subscribe button down there, it helps us out massively.
Well, personally for me, I think it would be aesthetic initially. Again, we're sort of talking about this off camera about doing a high rocks, which me and my friend Jay also want to do one day, and we will do it. But we've sort of said, like, we're gonna do it, but let's not worry about the performance. Let's not worry about what time we get. Okay, if we do it the first time and then we get addicted like everyone does and then do another one, we're probably going to want to do a PB. But certainly for that first, attempt, for me, I think as soon as I start worrying about performance and trying to be the best and all of that, that's what affects me, and that's what makes me either not want to do it or get down about it, and that becomes then very negative. So for me, it's more about the enjoyment. Certainly like with, getting into running at the moment, and, it's not been intense because we've just been doing it at our own speed, and we've been proud of our own times, which for some people are probably looking thinking, God, that's so slow. but for me, someone who's never run before, it's a massive achievement. So I think you have to look at it for yourself and realize, again, don't compare yourself to other people, and realize that's amazing for you. So keep that in mind. So for me personally, initially, yes, it was aesthetics, but I tried to keep that performance bit out of it. Don't get me wrong, obviously I'm always wanting to do more. I'm like with the pull-ups, I'm wanting to try and do more. I'm wanting to try and do unassisted. And of course I want to get, the weights up in other, exercises that I do, but I try not to take it on board too intensely, because I think that's what, like, that pressure will affect you from progressing really. In terms of other people, I think it probably is the performance, to be honest. I think because you're constantly seeing, especially all like the high rock stuff at the moment, it's like, the best of the best, and people just want to be that best person. And obviously in fitness, people are so competitive. Whereas me, I've never really been a competitive person. I don't know whether it's because I've never been the best, certainly in fitness. I've always been like, I'm always at the back or whatever. So now I'm not very competitive in the sense that, like, if I am running with a friend and they're running ahead of me, it doesn't bother me because I'm still proud of what I'm achieving. So I think a lot of what's happening at the moment, I think people are very, focused on the performance, which can be very positive. Obviously, you're just striving to do better. And then, on the flip side, maybe a lot of females are looking at, the aesthetic side of things because, certainly when you do start to see a difference in, the way you look, definition and things, again, that does become addictive as long as it's obviously a positive addiction. Yeah,
no, I do agree. Like, I think when it comes to, like, if you're performing in a certain competition or whatever, you should always focus on, like, what you're doing. Like focusing on other people is absolutely pointless. Yeah. So from that point of view, you do have to focus on yourself. But I said, though, because I asked the person who asked me this, I said, like, what do you mean? Do you mean, like, in terms of training, or do you mean actually go and compete? And he was like, oh, well, both. So, like, what we just talked about there, that's the competing side of things. Yeah. But in terms of the training side, like, I was like, well, you never really want to train just for aesthetics, because the problem with that is, like, obviously, even if you do gain the aesthetics, a lot of the time it's just, like, to look at. I was like, it's useless. I was like, because if you were to train in aesthetics, a lot of the time it doesn't necessarily transfer to performance. No. However, if you were to train in performance, it just transfers to aesthetics, no problem. Like, if you train, like, to get stronger at X, Y, or Z, or to get fitter at X, Y, or Z, you will usually, like, 90% of the time, depending on body type and whatnot, you will usually become quite aesthetic anyway. Of course you will. But yeah, like I said, like, in terms of the performance side, you definitely will just want to, like I said, with the high rocks, and people are so they give so much of a shit about, like, what time they're getting or who's beating them. And like I had a mate who's just started high rocks, and, like, he comes back and he's like, fucking came third. And I'm like,
that's amazing.
It's your third high rocks. like relax. So These people have been doing it for like 5 years. Yeah. I'm like, just relax. Like, and it's funny, like, people won't give themselves time to learn it, because I think like when you try something new, like I did a high rocks, well, like a makeshift high rocks with him, and I realized how hard it was in terms of like I was very good at the exercises, but the running, like fatigued running, is a different level of running. Like, I've always hated running, but fatigued running is horrendous. Like you've done an exercise and you think, oh, fucking hell, I'll have a break now.
Yeah.
Oh no,
nope.
I've got a 1K run to do, and you have to do it at a good
speed.
Pace. And then when you get back, it's like, right, okay, you're doing this, and it's like, oh,
it's crazy,
it's
isn't
an
it?
absolute killer. Obviously, like when you're going through these tough moments or tough periods, which I assume that you've been through, how do you sort of handle the self-doubt side of things?
Good question. I think a positive out of everything I've done and everything like my Instagram's about is that I always am posting the small wins. And don't get me wrong, some people might go on it and think, why is she posting that? Or like, I don't care. But then it has created a community where people do care because they're like, wow, you know, this girl's been really like open and, you know, proud of herself for doing such a small thing. Maybe I should do that as well. And yeah, I've just been very much brought up in a way that, you know, it is about the small wins, but the small wins to yourself are actually quite big wins, and you're achieving a lot. So I think because I'm posting these little bits and bobs, and like with some of my pull-ups, like I'm quite open, and I'll put, oh, you know, my core wasn't tight there, or, you know, before anyone else can like pop up and give me any grief, I'm like, yeah, I know that wasn't great, but I'm still going to show it. So I'm not posting really polished and perfected stuff because
that was kind of like what we were saying.
Yeah, because none of my stuff is, to be fair. But I
you were there all day.
maybe some of it is. But you know, I think it's nice to show people the real stuff because they resonate with that. So when it comes to kind of like self-doubt and things, I think the way I can kind of get over that is that I'm just throwing myself out there. I'm being really raw. I'm saying, look, this is what I'm doing. You know, this is my run. I've done a 5K in 45 minutes. Some people look at that and think, gosh, that's so slow. But I don't care what they think, because that to me is good to me, because I've never run before. So I think, yeah, by posting the small wins, I'm just being positive about everything that I'm achieving. That helps with the self-doubt. And don't get me wrong, you know, of course I still have that. Everybody does. We're all human. But I think also like reflecting on the past me, the me before I started all of this, like the past me would be so shocked that I've even done half of what I've done so far. And what I've done so far isn't actually, you know, in the grand scheme of things, that impressive. But, you know, in the next year, I'll look back and think, wow, I did all of that. And, you know, it's just nice to sometimes reflect. I know people say, you know, don't always look back at the past, but when you're looking at it in a way that, you know, you're reflecting and you're seeing how far you've come, I think that really helps with self-doubt, and it will just push you to do even better.
Yeah,
moving
it's like
forward.
a momentum thing, is it? Like that's what I always focus on. I don't really focus on, I have like the goals, obviously, and you want to try and hit the goals, but I always just focus on, well, it like, am I keeping momentum? Because like obviously momentum changes over time. Like you can have dips and troughs, fair enough. But if you take breaks and if you think, oh, you know, I'm going to relax a little bit and all that sort of stuff, then that for me, that's when the goal is out of view. Not necessarily because of the performance. It's usually because you're stopping. Like you just need to keep going. Yeah. But it is interesting what you said a minute ago in terms of like the self-doubt. I remember like, I think it's like a maturity thing, but then it's also like what we linked to before of like understanding that no one cares. Yeah. Because I remember like being a kid, and I played in academies as a kid and stuff like that, and my dad was my coach and stuff like that. And I used to be like, they say in sport you're pushed or pulled. Right. And the pulled side is like you're pulled by things like self-doubt. Like, you know, and I was just always pulled along. My performance and whatever I was doing was always pulled by, you know, oh, like what's my dad going to think? What's my coach going to think? Or like I'm not good enough, or I need to be doing X, Y, or Z. And I can't remember where the switch was, but there was a switch where it just became to the point where you think, oh, well, no one actually gives a shit. No. So why am I giving a shit? And then that's when the pushing starts. Then it's on to you to push yourself, sort of thing.
Exactly, definitely.
Like, so do you ever have that sort of experience where you're sort of grappling between push and pull?
Yeah, definitely. And I think, like you said, it's definitely a maturity thing. You know, it's actually just like in personal life as well. You know, as a teenager, as a teenage girl, you know, I was so bothered about everything, what everyone's thought of me. Quite sad looking back. You know, for an example, I used to take up most of my break time, the break time that we had, I'd be in the toilet taking my makeup off and putting it all back on again. And everyone would be like, oh, where's Britt? Where's Britt? Oh, she's in the bathroom doing her makeup again. And it's like, why was I wasting all that time when I could have been socializing with my friends? But it's because I just cared about what the people thought. looking back, there was absolutely nothing wrong with me. I'd not started getting spots or anything at that point. So I was like, I was just a young girl that really should have like appreciated everything. But of course, at that time of your life, you know, you do care, and you're changing, and you're, you know, trying to fit in and things like that. So I think, you know, in terms of like my personal life, I've decided to not care. And that obviously has come in partnership with my fitness life as well, is that, you know, there's probably a lot of people out there that, you know of me that are looking at my Instagram thinking, oh God, here she is again. And I'm thinking, well, do you know what? I'm actually having fun with it.
Join the fucking club.
Exactly. You probably know. But join, you know, I don't care anymore, because I know that I'm doing really well in terms of my own abilities. I'm doing well in terms of, you know, growing. Again, I've not got thousands of followers, but it's going up. It's going in the right direction. I've had all these opportunities that, you know, I only started my Instagram probably about a year ago. I think it was maybe more like April, May time, I think. And to see that what I've done in that year, I mean, by the end of the year, I ran my own fitness event, which is just mental. And it went, like, if I don't mind saying myself, like, it went really, really well, which is amazing to see it come to life, because it took me like 4 months to kind of organise. So I just think if there is anyone that's been negative out there that would create my self-doubt, like, that doesn't matter anymore, because I need to keep pushing myself, certainly on, you know, social media, to get more opportunities, to, you know, do more exciting things, to meet more exciting people. So if I hold back because of these people that I actually don't know who they are or don't care of who they are, why would I let someone that has no effect in my life actually affect what I'm doing? So I think that in terms of self-doubt and maturity, I just don't care anymore.
Do you get much like sort of hate online?
Do you know what? Touch wood, I haven't. I haven't had anything nasty. Obviously, I'm not, you know, huge yet, and I do feel like that will come. But I don't know if this sounds like really boastful, but like, I kind of get a kick out of people being nasty.
No,
because I'm just, do you know what I mean? I just think, okay, like, try me then, like, you know, comment on the way I look or comment on what I'm doing, because I know for a fact you're in a tiny little bedroom in the dark, eating
Mom's basement.
You know, exactly, eating your weight in Wotsits, and I'm here thriving. So I'm just like, well, sod you. But no, I haven't had anything negative. I've had a few people like pop up just to say, oh, by the way, you know, you might want to try this, or you might want to do this, which for me, I see it as a positive. You know, if I am doing an exercise wrong, tell me. Or if I should do it another way, tell me, because, you know, that's constructive, you know, criticism. It's not negative. So no, I haven't had anything horrible. I've had a few weird people, as you can probably imagine. I feel like you guys have had your fair share, but I feel like
not the same type of weird. I know
well,
I know what type of weird you're talking about.
Yeah, very, very strange. But again, it just makes me laugh, and then I'll just show my friends, like, have you seen? Well, it's usually guys, obviously. But have you seen what this guy said? And we just laugh about it. So just again, see it as a positive.
How has like exercise and fitness helped with your like resilience over time?
Good question. Well, to be honest, I think I'm pretty resilient because of my sort of 9 to 5. So obviously we spoke about this earlier, but I do recruitment, and for that you have to be resilient. So I was already pretty resilient anyway. But I think in terms of the fitness world, you know, by kind of having a few knockbacks or not doing so well, or, you know, as a woman, you know, again, I won't go into details, but the part of your cycle that you're in, you might not be as strong in the gym in that week, because, you know, because of where you are in your cycle, and then you can certainly feel a bit like, oh, like deflated. But by having those knockbacks, by having, you know, those times where you've not done so well, or, you know, you've done a run and you've not, you know, push yourself as much. I mean, a lot of my, you know, online gym friends who do a lot of like running and stuff, they're again very transparent and show that, okay, I was meant to do a 12K today and I've only done 6, but I've still done it and I've still pushed myself. So I think just being aware that, you know, you're not going to be your best every day, you know, keep that in mind, and that's okay, because the next time you go, you will be fine. So that kind of helps with resilience, and also, you know, consistency as well, again.
It's like that momentum thing, isn't it? Yeah. one of the last questions I want to ask you,
Yep.
what would you say is more important, mental strength or physical strength?
Definitely mental, I think. Definitely. Because like I said to you before, you know, it's certainly a mindset. So many people say to me, God, how do you do it, Britt? And there was a period of time where I was literally going to the gym every day before work. So it was super early. And I remember I'd be like getting on the tram in the rain in my like sleeping bag coat, like, you know, them big long coats, all the way zipped up. My gym bag was like bigger than me. And to be fair, looking back, I'm like, how did I do that? But it was because of what I wanted to achieve. And, you know, I thought that my mental health was strong enough. Looking back, it's definitely got stronger because of the fitness I've done, because of how good it is for you, because of the, you know, endorphins and that endorphin hit that you get. So I think your mental strength needs to be there. But of course, it's a bit of a vicious circle, isn't it? Because if your mental health isn't great, you're suggested to do exercise. So it's like, well, you know, how does that make sense? So I would say in that instance, you know, do little bits and gradually over time. Don't put the pressure on yourself. Do what you can and do what you enjoy. And over time, you know, like, look at me. Like, I would never have thought I would ever be doing any of this. And yeah, my mental health has got stronger. But I think, you know, don't worry about the physical stuff. Just make sure you're in the right mindset and that you want to do the fitness. And again, you might not want to do it because your mental health isn't right, but you might want to feel better. You might want to get your mental health better. So in that instance, you know, do gradual bits of fitness, to get outside, do a little bit of a walk, you know, meet up with a friend. And even if it's something as basic as a 10-minute walk, that's better than nothing, and you're clearing your mind. And or like a run, you might do 1K, 2K. And for some people, they'll be like, well, what's the point in that? But for you, that could be everything, and that could really, really help your mental health. So yeah.
It's strange because someone asked me that about a year ago. I got asked that question, and I said the same thing. I said, oh no, mental strength is far more important than physical strength. But then when I had that injury, I actually changed. I was sat there you know, wallowing in my own self-pity.
Oh, bless you.
But then I was also thinking like, well, you know, my mental strength is like very high. I class myself as a very resilient person, but I was sat there and I was pretty unhappy, and I was thinking, well, how do I like realistically like think myself out of this? And you know, I was trying to like positive think and distract myself. But then I changed my mind completely on the question, because I thought, well, like realistically, like if someone came to me and said like, what do I need to do? Like, oh, I'm feeling shit. Yeah. Like realistically, what do I need to do? The first thing I'd tell them is to go and do something physical. Yeah. Because what I realized was that mental strength is downstream from physical strength. So like trying to think your way out of a mental blockade is like, you know, is useful. Like it's useless. Like, you know, trying to think yourself happy in a sad situation. Yeah, you can do it to a certain degree, maybe for like half an hour. Yeah. But then after that half an hour, you're right back where you were. Yeah. Whereas if someone said to me like, oh, would you rather have that and, you know, sort of have that mental capacity to be able to be happy for a little bit, or would you rather go for a walk or go for a jog or go to the gym? Well, I'd rather go to the gym because the effects of that will almost negate the problems that I had in the start.
They kind of help each other, don't they?
Exactly, yeah. So, but then the problem is with it, you do have to have somewhat mental strength to go and do it. Do you know
Initially.
what I mean? Like if you're like sat there and you're, like I said, you're incapable. Like I said, I was incapable. So then the physical capability isn't there.
It is hard.
Then it is hard. But yeah, like I did change my mind on that. I thought physical strength is probably more important, because you can't derive mental strength without having physical strength. Because not only from the side we just talked about, but then also from the competency side. Like if you're not competent, you're never going to be mentally strong.
You're not going to help that. Yeah, interesting.
But yeah, it was just
it's got me thinking now.
I thought of it right there on that couch.
Love that.
But right, just to round off the podcast with some quick fire questions. So quick fire questions, quick fire answers. Are you ready?
Okay.
Right. What's your favourite type of workout?
Probably full body, because you get a mixture of everything. So, but like weight training.
Brilliant. It's like HIIT sort of thing.
Less HIIT, because less cardio. But more weights.
That kind of comes on to our next question. Okay. Weights or cardio?
Probably weights, but I am getting into cardio now.
Into cardio, yeah. Most embarrassing thing that's happened to you in the gym?
Oh God, I can't think. Is this got to be really quick?
Not really quick.
Okay. Oh gosh. Well, going back to like the blooper thing. I mean, it was in the like private PT studio, but I was just kind of like waiting to do an assisted, not unassisted, assisted pull up, and my PT Chloe, my best friend, didn't put the other band around my foot, and then I've gone to like go and do it, and obviously I wasn't strong enough, and I was just like sort of swinging there like this is awkward. And I did actually show that on my page, but I'm sure
I think I've seen that.
Yeah, I'm sure there is probably something way more embarrassing, but I can't think right now.
Morning workouts or evening workouts?
Oh, I don't know, because I did really like morning ones, but more recently I've been doing evening ones, but it's so hard to get up in the morning. However, when I do my morning session on a Wednesday morning, 5:45, so super early, the way I feel afterwards, and that for that day when I go into work, I'm so more with it, like I'm so more like ready to go, I've got so much more energy. So I'm going to say morning, although I'm doing more evenings now. So.
I am literally the same. I used to do mornings.
Yeah.
I used to get up at 5:15, be in the gym at 5:45, and it was good in terms of like, you know, like the productivity side of it. But then when I got home, and obviously I've got a podcast to do and all that sort of stuff, like at 5 o'clock, it was like, you know, and you need to be in bed by like 9:30, 10.
Because of the next day.
And it's like the productivity side. So now I've gone to the evening workouts, but I do prefer morning workouts. Yeah, mixture. Most overrated exercise?
Overrated? Maybe, and some girls might not say this, but it's a conversation that me and Chloe have, and it's mainly from her because I'm obviously learning off her. But it's like cable kickbacks. I don't know if you've seen it when the girls are like kicking their leg back. I mean, I've done it and I've posted it on my page before, but it's really hard to actually look good doing them as well. I don't know how these girls, because some girls do look amazing, but yeah, it's quite overrated because it actually doesn't really help your glutes that much.
Yeah, it's more for like flexibility, sort of rotation.
Yeah, but I think a lot of girls think it's just going to like grow your glutes. Give them a big ass. Yeah, it's not going to work. Change it up, girls.
Most underrated exercise?
Sorry, I feel like I was literally singing that. No, underrated. I don't know. I'm literally like, the way I'm picturing it now, I'm just like going like round the gym in my head, trying to like pick something. Underrated. Sorry. I keep kind of thinking back to like the leg press because I feel like, I don't know, I do actually quite enjoy that. So I feel like it's underrated in the fact that people just find it boring, but I feel like you can go quite heavy on it. So yeah, I'm going to go with that.
Best protein shake flavor and brand?
Well, it has to be Protein Works. And I'm sorry, but it is vanilla. I'm not vanilla, okay?
Terrible shout.
No, but the reason I say, the reason I say vanilla is because with vanilla, you can like put it into other things that you're going to make. So like if you do like overnight oats, I don't know if you've seen like the overnight, like it's kind of like a cheesecake, but it's like Weetabix.
Yeah, so it's versatile.
Versatile,
as a shake. Yeah,
yeah.
I know what you're saying.
Why? What do you go for?
I've just got onto the My Protein, do you know the Vimto one?
Oh, actually, well, I shouldn't actually say, but I did. Yeah, they're like ISO clear ones that are like more like a juice. Yeah, because I used to have them because you actually can have it whilst you're in the gym because you're just like using it as a hydration, aren't you? So no, I do get that.
Yeah, like I still have like the milk ones because obviously it's better. I don't do it with water. I always do it with milk if I'm having.
I feel like it's criminal if you do it with water. It's a bit weird.
Proper weird. But yeah, I do for the same reason you just said. Like it's good that you can take to the gym or you can take to work and it doesn't have to be drank within.
Yeah, you can't take the milk ones to the gym. You'll end up throwing up.
Train alone or training with a partner?
I actually do like training with somebody. I do like training on my own sometimes where like, you know, you can listen to loud music and just be in the zone. But obviously for me, it's a massive social thing. I'm seeing more of my friends. Yes, a lot of the time we probably talk more than we work out, but we make sure we get the workout done. It's just I might be in the gym for 2 hours rather than one.
Worst fitness trend?
Oh gosh. I think it was kind of like what I was touching on before, but I don't want to say the brand because I'll just get slated. But it's the fact that every girl is jumping on this, or a few typical brands, and just trying to become one of their like influencers or ambassadors. And I'm just like, personally, to me, if a brand wants to work with me, they should send it to me for free. I know that sounds really self-righteous, but why should I spend loads of money on this brand when I'm already going to be helping them with their marketing and pushing their product out there. So it's just sad to see every single girl jumping on the same brands. So that's again, I try to wear smaller brands and push them out there because I think that's fair.
Fair enough. Best fitness trend?
High rocks.
High rocks.
I've not done one yet, but it's great. Yeah, it's a great community.
Tell me in a few months.
Yeah.
Worst advice you've ever received?
Oh gosh. I can't think really. For me, I don't think I've really had anything that's been like worst advice or anything, but just to kind of answer that question, again, I've got a bit of a community online with different like fitness girls, and they've just said like when, and no offense, it has been guys, but like some like really big burly guys coming over to them and like correcting them on something that they probably actually weren't doing wrong, but then making them feel really like on edge then, or like, and I think this one particular girl said, I can't remember what it was that the guy was like kind of judging her on, but she then just like left the gym because she just felt really like ashamed almost. So yeah, I can't really think of the worst advice for me, but yeah,
don't take advice from
steroids. Yeah, exactly. Keep away.
What's the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
Oh God, this is so hard. Probably again from Chloe, my PT now, my best friend. And she just said, like, when I started this journey in terms of like actually going online, because I started my fitness journey in 2023, but started my online journey last year. And again, going back to like the authenticity side of things, she just said, just be yourself, just keep being yourself. And again, I think that's what helped me recently going to that High Rocks seminar day with Manchester High Rocks community, is that she was like, you'll be fine. Just go and be yourself. You will be fine. And then when I got there, yes, I was a bit nervous. What did I do? I was just myself. And then I managed to make like 3 new fitness friends. So yeah, just be yourself, guys.
Perfect. And then lastly, what is the meaning of life to you?
Oh, wow.
Deep.
That's really deep. The meaning of life. I think, again, kind of touching on what I've just said, being yourself and, you know, just do what you want to do in life. Don't let anyone hold you back and just keep thriving on what you want to do. Obviously, hoping that what you want to do is positive, of course. But yeah, don't worry about the judgment. Just keep thriving, keep going forward, and just keep doing what you can do, because before you know it, you'll be in your 80s thinking, why didn't I do it? And at least when I'm in my 80s, I can look back and go, oh, I did a High Rocks, maybe just one.
And then what's next for you?
What's next for me? Oh, hopefully another event. Because there was quite a lot of people that didn't make my one in October last year. So yeah, hopefully another event. I have just also started the Brittejfitness Run Club. So that's just something that's kind of new, nothing intense, but essentially me and my friend Jay, we are quite religious with our running now. We're not religious, we're just religious with our running. And we've just decided that why don't we just get some girls together and say, look, this is where we're going to be at this time, usually on a Sunday, come and join us. So we're all pretty amateur. I mean, Jay used to run loads, so she's way better than me. But yeah, so it's all about, you know, getting that girl community, you know, meeting new people, meeting new friends. And also it's going to be a run club where it's not intense. I feel like there's a lot of run clubs that say, oh yeah, we only do 5-ish K, and then you're doing an 8K, and 8K is, well, 5K is hard. So like if you want to just come and do a 3K, that's fine. There might be some other girls that, you know, can't do as much as that, that's fine. And then over time, you never know, you might be doing a 10K. So yeah, an event and the run club. So
perfect. Yeah. And then where can people find you?
Brittejfitness on Instagram. I have got a TikTok, but I don't really use that as much. So yeah, Brittejfitness on Instagram.
Fair enough. Thank you very much, Britt, for coming, for your time and for coming on.
Thank you so much.
Good to talk. Thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like and comment on the video. Let us know your thoughts. As well, on your way out the door, don't forget to hit the subscribe button down here. It'll help this channel out massively. Thank you.